Let's see. All right, guys, we are recording, guys. I am beyond excited, guys. Welcome to the Uplift blog, where we talk about business, entrepreneurship, and uplifting stories. I am cannot believe beyond excited to have Zack Blakeney with us today. He's an amazing personal trainer and competitor, number one competitor, and he trains other champions. So I am incredibly honored to have him. Welcome to the show, Zack.
Hey, thanks a lot, Lena. I appreciate you having me on, man. Thank you, and thanks for the introduction. I appreciate it, man. I feel humbled.
No, you know what, Zack? He's a really humble person, guys. But I've seen it. I've seen the work. I've seen what you do, the posts you make, your mentality, and it's there. You're a champion. You're a number one competitor kind of guy, and I've seen it. And I really wanted to, have this interview to get to know more about you. You also have your podcast, which is really impressive, called Supergivers, right?
Yep, it's the Supergivers Academy podcast. Yeah, it's just a place to come for mental, physical, spiritual well-being. Lots of guests that we have on as well. Just different things to help people in different spaces, which I do categorize as different spaces. Everything is connected when it comes to mind, body, and soul, but you do have to almost dive into each one individually with purpose and intention to get the result that you're looking for. And when you do that, these things start to come together in congruence, right? To really start to create the person that you want to be.
Amazing, Zack. I do want to get started really quickly, just asking you to tell us a little about yourself, where you grew up, um, you just kind of your story, like the foundation of the story of the man that you are, and then was
Sure.
maybe take us to a few experiences that really shape your life, like who you are, where you're from, what your job is, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, man. I'm a Southern boy. I was born and raised in the South. I was born in Louisiana, raised most of my life in Atlanta and Texas. My father was in the military, and that was something that I once saw as being a little bit of I guess, not ideal, as we moved around a lot. But now coming in older and in my life, I realized that it gave me a skill to connect with so many different types of people in different social environments, different races, different ethnicities, religions. I mean, I ran into everybody, and that's what's great about America. So this melting pot of even my upbringing, started to mold who I am. And during that time, as a younger kid, and when I grew up, the internet was just starting to come off a dial-up. It was starting to become something that was very accessible, and there was also a lot of dangers to it. So, one of my main, I guess you would say, traumas as a child and even into my 20s was pornography, and a pornography addiction that truly crippled my ability to connect with people the way that I wanted to connect with them in a heart-centered way. And even more so relationships, with the women that I cared about deeply. And I wasn't able to actually show that love that I felt to the point where they could feel how much I did. So, this was with me in the back burner. I played high school baseball. I got drafted out of high school with the Pittsburgh Pirates, chose to go to college, hurt my arm in baseball. And this is where there was this big shift when it came to getting into health and fitness coaching. I have my master's degree in education. I was on this route to basically being a teacher, a coach, maybe even getting into being a college professor. And how these are intertwined is once I hurt my arm about my sophomore year, I slipped into a pretty hard depression. I gained, 30 pounds. I was drinking. I was smoking weed. I was eating Taco Bell at 2 o'clock in the morning. Wasn't very good.
Mhm.
And at one point, one of my friends took a picture of me, and I was on our back porch, and I had seen physically. I mean, I remember what I was thinking at the time. I was thinking how unhappy I was, but the picture really said it all. I looked different than I ever had, and I knew exactly what I was thinking. So this sparked this desire to get in shape. And I reached out to my baseball strength and conditioning coach, and he just set me up with a really basic plan. But I lost 30 pounds in 6 weeks. So, I'm a young kid at the time. You put on weight like that pretty quick. If you just change your habits quickly, the results will come. So that really sparked my love for fitness. And I didn't know what that was at the time, except for working out and eating chicken and rice, because that's all it was. And as I started to develop, more knowledge and learn more things in that space, and I also started to learn more about the American education system, I chose to not go into teaching. It kind of pushed me away. And right after that, I found myself a little bit lost, but that's when I got my personal training certificate and I started doing personal training. And this was something that was very fun for me, but it also, again, I'm 23, 24 at the time, so I really don't know what I'm doing with my business. And I became a restaurant manager for Longhorn Steakhouse. That's actually how I ended up in Austin, Texas, 2010. They opened up their first location down here. I transferred from where I was to here. And I had my run there. I ended up being a general manager when I was 27, did a lot of successful things inside of there, but realized again that my passion didn't lie in serving people steaks. There was really nothing, it
Mhm.
was really nothing that I liked about it, but I did like the part about developing people. I had 90 employees underneath me. So I was still teaching, and I was teaching all these different things, but I shifted and I realized, that I wanted to get back into fitness, and I just kind of took that chance. And again, really grateful that I went through the process of, becoming a manager and a general manager. It taught me business. I didn't go to school for business. So, it gave me this vast amount of knowledge, P&Ls, costs, everything that you need to know. So it was kind of like a perfect storm to become an entrepreneur and pursue my passion with the foundation of business and the passion that I wanted. So the back burner is still this pornography addiction that's still going on. And eventually it came to head. It came to head with my own admitting basically that this was a problem to one of my past relationships that resulted in this relationship dissolving. And it was very painful at the time. And at the time, I had this motivation. And the motivation was to fix all of these things that I saw and my partner at the time saw as being detrimental to me and relationships and love and everything else. So my initial motivation was, well, I'm going to show her I can change. And after about a couple of months into it, I shifted this motivation. It wasn't about proving her wrong or proving everybody else wrong. It was about proving myself right. And that was a huge shift in, again, the power that I felt internally. And then it really just kind of went from there. I mean, this kind of obsession for personal growth. I was pretty much agnostic, going up to that point. Could have been even atheist. I mean, I didn't deny that it wasn't, but I didn't really understand it. And meditation brought into my life and really showed me. And I would say it awakened my thoughts and my mind and my soul to spirituality, God, a universe that is interconnected, and we all are interconnected. So that gave me that foundation. Going through therapy for anxiety, for pornography, allowed me to now start to understand the inner workings of the brain, how the brain works, protection mechanisms, self-sabotage, even the physiological parts of the brain that are responsible for different areas, to give me a physical explanation to why I was thinking the way I was thinking, to why I was acting out of these thoughts. So it was a very I've acquired a lot of knowledge, and all of this knowledge has brought me to a point where I feel as if I can service many types of clients. I mean, I have mindset clients. I have a client that I'm helping through pornography addiction right now. I have bodybuilding clients, weight loss, transformation. It's pretty much everywhere in a space, which is great because I love servicing as many people as possible. So these life experiences that, in the moment and at the time, were some of the lowest times in my life. And I initially regretted so much. And now I really see gratitude in them. I'm grateful that things happen. And I've asked and posed this question to a lot of people who are in the same space, which is, how do you turn regret into gratitude? How do you get to a point like that in your life? And the answer is you do the work, you do the inner work to be able to see how this can benefit you in the future, and even more so, how this benefits you in your present moment well-being. So there's a wrap up.
Awesome, Zach. And you know what, man, I am just in that uh, story, that spiel you just took us through. Like, there's so much relatability. First of all, there's really powerful men out there that get out of their comfort zone and speak up about pornography. Like, there's TED Talks, and there's only a few though, not a lot,
Yeah.
that take on that responsibility to be labeled as a speaker on the subject of pornography addiction and women's slavery or whatever, wherever you want to call it.
Sure.
But your experience, your shared is really, I believe that you're of course are a unique individual because you have your own journey, which is you just outlined for us. But then you have so many little areas that we can connect to. Being a restaurant manager, like who hasn't worked through the food industry as they grew up at some point in their life, playing baseball, that injury, that narrative that like several people, I would argue that several people have. Everybody wanted to be a high school or a top performing college athlete, but we have always this injury that's that injury, and that's why I didn't make it. But it didn't mean that that's what stopped you. Like, you still found, didn't mean you didn't become a major league baseball player. You're still being like excelling, in the bodybuilding industry, having your own Alpha Pump brand, which you haven't mentioned yet, but I would love to talk about it. All your bodybuilding clients. And I feel like everything you have to offer is so valuable, so huge, so relatable to our audience, which we will share with. And then like, who doesn't have, either have had a past failed relationships or struggling with their marriage? Like you're adding, just bringing in so much value here, Zach. And, you already you just knock it out the park, like from the get-go. So tell us about a little bit about your success. So you cannot deny that I've seen you've placed first in some competitions. And then you have also coached other clients to place first and then just like take them to an insane transformation. I'm talking about gaining 10 to 20 pounds, prepare for a show. What did that mean to you? And takes us a little bit about your success into the coaching business and you as an athlete as well.
Sure, man. I mean, my marker for success, isn't necessarily built on, trophies and pro cards. I will throw it in there that I've got 6 pros and I've got 30 plus overalls, right? 36 plus overalls.
And he's
30
humble.
plus overalls. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but the route to get people to this end result is focusing on the person. Focusing on the process in bodybuilding. And it's funny, I'm gonna make a post about it tomorrow. It's the Wild West of bodybuilding. And I've heard, the most horrific stories of protocols that kill, people early. They kill heart-centered dreams like having children, and then programs that just make 0 sense, 1,000 calories, 10 weeks out from a show, 2 hours of cardio, 0 fats, all these things that I hear. And this is, to me, a product of people chasing a result, and a result being their marker for success. So my marker for success is the process. Like, let's win not only the process in a sense of understanding the value in going through contest prep. I call it a vehicle for transformation. People that go through prep, although it's a hard thing to do, by the time they're within, I would say, 8 weeks out from a show, they look almost the best they've ever looked. They feel great. This external transformation of their body allows for confidence to come through. It allows for a different energy to come off of them, and it creates inspiration, right? So people around them, they're inspiring people that they'd never have seen, and they might not ever see or might not ever know that this person started prep because they saw a picture of you or they saw you in the gym working out. And that's a really powerful thing to have, because it's, a lot of people even start that way. I mean, many of my competitors come to me first timers saying that I want to look like so-and-so.
Mm-hmm.
And I always tell them, I was like, well, eventually people are going to say they want to look like you. And that's really where the power is in contest prep. So by focusing on this, by focusing on the people, by giving plans that are scientifically based and have logic and are not rushed, understanding it's a process, it's an enjoyable time. And I'm happy to say that I have kept 90% of the clients that come on. It's, people don't leave for because they get their pro card. They leave because they hated the process of getting their pro card. So in that regard, that's what I like to do with my competitors. And again, it's kind of across the board with any of my clients. For myself, it's been a good ride. I've had two coaches, David Schachterly, who actually, rest in peace, he just died recently. But the man had 80 plus IFBB pros. Max Fairchild out of Dallas, learned under John Meadows, one of the top coaches in the world. So I've also, had the privilege of learning from some of the top coaches in the world that were open to teaching me, which is why when I'm coaching my clients, it's not I'm not like, this is my secret, or, do it because I told you so. My goal is to put my brain into theirs. And the more that can happen, the better they understand and the better the results that they get. And again, I was exposed to that. I had coaches that were that way. So seeing that allows me to be that way, and also got me the results that I did, right? So when it comes to competing on stage, I don't have, top 1% genetics, but I do have top 1% work ethic. And a lot of times this is where bodybuilding gets confused, is that people see genetics and they say, oh, I can't look like that. I won't ever look like that. But they don't actually ever put in the work to do it to see if they'd look like that. So I enjoy it. I enjoy bodybuilding. I enjoy, of course, winning. That's great. But I already felt like I win before I step on stage. When I get to the show, I feel like I've won. I have people around me that love me. I have a team that loves me, and I have all the support in the world. And that's more important.
Zack, that is like unbelievable. Like something that popped right away is the marker for success is the process itself, which I interpret as you going through the process is your success because you chose to go through the process. But like, that's what we call, like, that's coaching in itself. Like, whoever listens to this, you're adding so much value. That's for somebody to even get that kind of like coaching, just share that quote right there. That's worth thousands of dollars, man. And tell me about your mental coaching, because that is something else. I think that of course your mind is a reflection, your body's a reflection of your mind. But I see you meditate, and I see you making all this posts about, self-confidence, like the inner work. Like, I have to pick your brain. Give me a little something from that.
Sure. Yeah, man. It starts with the mind. It truly does. I mean, again, your thoughts create your reality, and that is, if you don't believe it, I would imagine that you're not living the life that you would like to live. And most people, including myself, were attached to the way I was thinking as who I was, and that actually is not true. You are the filter. Your job is to discern which thoughts you want to embody as being true to you. And if you are embodying thoughts like, I'll never make it, or I'm not good enough, or, why does Betty have this and I don't, then that is what you believe. And so you don't act on the things that you want to act. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, if you say, I know that I'm going to be able to get to where I want to get to, I just got to put in the work, then that thought would drive you to take action towards what you want to do. And, the mind is a funny thing. It's wired. It's wired to protect you. It's wired to keep you comfortable. So when you want to do something that's outside your comfort zone or causes anxiety or stress, it's going to tell you not to. It's going to tell you all the reasons why you shouldn't. And that is the time and that's the space that you work into to create performance. And once you can embody this, once you can discern that you have the power to choose, then things start to happen the way that you want to happen. And this is really, really basic. But when you start getting into like reaching somebody on a level in which you can start to pick how they think about themselves, their mannerisms, everything else, that comes more for me from, I would call, an intuitive power. Being able to talk to somebody for in a matter of a couple of minutes, I can typically listen. And when I say listen, I'm listening to their voice. I'm also listening to the energy, and I'm listening to the intention in which they're talking. And normally I can pick out some sort of fallacy of how they're feeling, or even a disconnect between the words and what they really feel about themselves. And that comes with practice for sure. And truly, some people have a stronger gift in this regard than others, but it gets, you work it out. I would say you work your intuition, you take it to the gym by doing inner work. You do it with meditation, you do it with mindfulness and breathing techniques, and things that allow you to be in the more present moment. Because maybe your listeners, and maybe you've experienced this before, where this is just an example, where somebody's talking to you, and if you are a coach or a problem solver like myself, because this is what I used to do, they would be talking to me and telling me their problem, and I would already had the solution thought up in my head before they finished their sentence. I'm not actually listening. So being in the present moment and listening, actually listening to people, allows you to connect on a deeper level that creates trust, that allows you to be more vulnerable. Vulnerability allows people to open up to you because you are opening up to them. And then you can start to get into a deeper space of understanding who they are and what they want to work on and who they want to be. And now you're in a space in which now you can start to understand how they are thinking, how they're thinking that's serving them, and how they're thinking that's not.
Man, that is insane, Zach. That I cannot express that enough, guys. He's a, like I said, number one top competitor and incredible mind coach. I feel like that right there itself is worth like writing a book about. Like this is like what I like to call like young, right? The sauce, like the young generation.
Mm.
Like you believe it, that you can do it, you are gonna do it, and you're gonna take the action. Like that is insane. And the fact that you're boldly stating that like the mind is designed to protect you and like your
Mhm.
thoughts, it's a self-protecting that is so huge. And even though it's so basic, let's say it's like chapter number one in a book about the mind, that is like what like it that is like 80% of everything that you'll ever plug into your brain. I feel that, and I see it in um the clients I help, myself as well, and with their nutrition and whatnot. And isn't it funny that every time you want to start a fitness journey or whatever, lose 5 pounds, um everything goes wrong. A billion excuses come up. Hey, the gym closed, we got a virus, I'm tired, I can't go to work out because X, Y, and Z. Like I believe, like I interpret that as that, like your mind is telling you you want to do something new, but the mind is responding and saying, no, that's something different, that's uncomfortable, I don't want to do it, I want to protect you. And by you, Reese, you know confirming that, like, it is so huge. It helps you just understand it. When you see it and recognize it, you have the opportunity to take action and just fight against it and control it. And I am not an expert on the mind, and I believe like you have a stronger you know mind power, in my opinion, currently, because I've seen the kind of work you do. But let's wrap up a little bit of this interview with your business, what you do, just so I don't take any more of your time. Tell me about your business, what you do, whether if it's your Alpha Pump class, which is like super attractive, very well marketed.
Mhm.
What kind of coaching do you do? What like the results your clients have gotten before? And let's promote you a little bit, Zach.
Sure, man. So doing a lot, really started to open up to a lot of different things. I mean, foundationally, it's coaching. Bodybuilding, we have Alpha X class. Rebranded, what you're saying was the Alpha Pump. I rebranded it to Supergivers Academy. So Supergivers being somebody with the knowledge and awareness to prioritize their health and fitness and even their development first, so that they can give their energy, presence, and love to others. So basically, a long way of saying fill your cup first, so you can continue to fill your cup, so you can give more to the people you want to give to. And inside of that space, that's where I work with a lot of different people, leaders, managers, people that are looking for mindset, performance, and then obviously the weight loss and nutrition. Again, the bodybuilding for Alpha X, and then we went, well, we're starting to get into events. This year was a great year for a plan, and the plan, unfortunately, was all about human connection and human interaction face to face. Did an event for Making Vet Sweat in January, raised $2,000 for them, and then we have a couple of events that are up on the horizon that we had them in May, and then we had to push them now to August. So that's kind of the new area, is event planning and bringing lots of people together. Human connection is what makes me the most happy. It's really what drives my happiness. So it was only a logical thing to kind of expand further out. And like I said, I noticed a trend, which is a lot of people hide behind social media in a sense. And I mean hiding as is, that's how they want to appear. And I feel as if, there's more value in just meeting somebody in person and talking to them. So that's really what we have on the horizon still, is these events that we're doing. I mean, there's a lot of shows that are starting to open up now. Hopefully
Ooh,
in a couple of weeks in Texas here, and we can go to work.
Zach, that is unbelievable. I think that the fact that you rebranded your coaching from Alpha Pump or Alpha X to Supergivers definitely shows an evolution of your coaching and what you want to achieve. And you know what? I've been following you. I saw you, take off your shirt and have a sign saying, offering free hugs or offering free human connection. Like I saw that. I
Mm-hmm.
saw you, take your team of athletes and go to South America and just really connect. And I really see connection as like a really awesome theme that you want to create, have really deep, meaningful, personal connections. That I think that's amazing. That's where it's all about, because you can get the gains, you can get the money, you can get the business. But there's definitely an amazing reward about uplifting others, having that real human connection, real friendships, real, stewardships, being able to teach someone, being a coach. And that's amazing to me. And I think that is the direction you're going, and you're doing it. So this was incredible, guys. Follow Zack. Find him on Facebook and Instagram. I will tag his Instagram and Facebook. I cannot say enough. I was from the get-go. I was incredibly excited that you agreed to this amazing interview. As soon as we're done, I'll repost and share. And thank you for being with us, Zack.
Oh yeah, man. I appreciate it, Lino. Thank you, brother.